Hello friends, and welcome back to the Gamer Down. This is your host, Dark Hostess, and today we are looking at Lord of the Rings Online, it being their 4th anniversary and all. I used to play this game very avidly. I played it all the time for about a year or so, and I was also involved in the Mines of Moria beta. And I quit playing, about 6 months to a year before they became a free-to-play game. So I've been very, very curious how this game's been doing since they became a free-to-play game. I know that the population was really suffering, and the best place to check a MMO's population is the auction house. And this place is packed out. It looks like the free-to-play move was an excellent move for Turbine. This place, I've never seen Lord of the Rings so full. Every zone, there's people everywhere. The server I'm on is Brandywine, and this is probably the most popular server. That's without question, and it's always been one of the most popular servers. People tend to gravitate to it. And since I've been gone, they've added a store. And I've had mixed emotions about this store, you know. I know it had to be done because they became a free-to-play game, but I've always had this mixed emotions about free-to-play games because if you have enough money in real life, you know, everything is yours. You know, and I know people who are so rich that it would be nothing to them to just buy every single thing, and, you know, it's such a disadvantage to people who don't have that much kind of, you know, that kind of money. I mean, that's kind of luxury that most of us don't have. And I've always been on the fence about it, but Lord of the Rings wouldn't probably be around right now if they didn't go free to play. They were suffering so bad in population. When I left the game, people were falling off in droves, so, you know, the people that were left. It had already taken so many hits over the years. When Lord of the Rings first began, they never advertised. You never saw a Lord of the Rings online ad based anywhere. Just very, very rare. And we always would beg the developers, you know, please advertise. You know, you have such a wonderful game here. You need to advertise. But they never had the funding to do such a thing. If this game had only had the amount of funding it needed up front, up in the beginning, you know, it could have been a real competitor with WoW. I mean, there's so many things in Lord of the Rings that are even better than WoW. For one thing, the graphics, and there's player housing. Here's my old house. I haven't been to my damn house in years, and it's like first time I've rode up to it. And it, you know, it's such a, you know, cool feeling. You know, I remember making this house and putting the tree there, you know, so many years ago, and, you know, it's still here. You know, that's one nice thing. I was kind of wondering if anything of my stuff was going to be left after all these years, but thankfully everything I had was still there. One thing that they did do right in this game was the player housing. And you can see, like, you just click on your mini map here for the decorate mode, and it just highlights all the items, and you can mix and match them, you know, trade them around, replace them with other items, and trophies that you get from instances and from the seasonal spring festivals and such. Yeah, brings back so many memories. When I left this game, I had this entire neighborhood to myself, and I've been looking around, and I you know, it's another indicator to the population. I have neighbors everywhere now. So that's pretty cool. That's the first time I've had neighbors. And here's the interior to my house. And, you know, I mean, you know, there's only so much you can be done with player housing. Any player housing I've seen in games, it's all been about the same. They give you hooks to hang an item on. And what's cool about Lord of the Rings Online is they do have, like, storage and things like that. So it is kind of a dual purpose. And we'd always pushed for a crafting table and things like that, but they never got that implemented, and they never improved on the player housing. But it's still pretty awesome to be able to have a house in a game. I mean, not many MMOs do it anymore. It's kind of an old school thing, a UO thing. And as you can see, some of the items are even interactive. You can light your furnace or light your fireplace. You can't sleep in your bed, unfortunately, but you can decorate your walls, and I even have a couple of pets that I'd got from, I don't know, some special thing quite long ago. I did invest quite a bit in this game. I spent months and months playing this game, and I enjoyed every second of it. One of the main reasons that I quit playing was I just didn't have the time. And as you see, like that thing hanging on my wall there, like Sam Brogg's helm, that was from an instance that I did like one of the very first times in this game. And it was so awesome. Like, you know, you kill the last boss and you have something to hang in your house. It was just so kick ass. And here at the In-League Sinister Keg, this has always been a notorious item in this game, and what happens is one drink will put you under the table and you'll wake up somewhere else. Since you can invite other people into your house, one funny trick would be always, yeah, go have you a drink off my keg there. And then the next thing you know, things would start to get a little bit blurry. And the world would fade. And you would wake up. No telling where you would wake up. What it does is it randomly transports you into another part of the game, and this time I ended up in the Barrow Downs. And if you know the name of this channel, The Gamer Down, it's kind of a play on the Barrow Downs, and there's like a trifecta meaning to the Gamer Down, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. But I just wanted you to know that one of the meanings is from the Barrow Downs here. Oh yeah, that's where it came from. And just look at that sky. I mean, God. I mean, the skies in this game are just amazing. And here in the Barrow Downs, you know, it's just like in the books, you know, just like what you read in the Lord of the Rings books. That was one thing about Lord of the Rings Online, is they were meticulously faithful to the books. They followed it to a T. You know, there's no variation off the lore, and if something was against the lore, they wouldn't put it in the game. And I imagine it's still like that. I'm not sure how the development of this game is going these days. Since you know, like I've said, I haven't been playing for quite a while, but the original purpose of Lord of the Rings Online was to, you know, eventually reach the end of Lord of the Rings, you know, like in the books, and with each expansion they would release another area. So I guess that they're still releasing areas. I haven't seen a new area since Mirkwood, which was kind of like where I left off this game at. Really, that was one thing that kind of made me angry. Why I did leave Lord of the Rings, you know, remembering back, is I got double charged for Mirkwood, and that kind of ticked me off a little bit. You know, and like I said, the main reason was I just didn't have enough time, and the game was really dying at that time for me, and you know, I'd lost a lot of interest. In the Mines of Moria beta, it was an amazing experience because the developers were just right there in the game. They were in the chats. You know, it was so cool, and we could talk to the developers right there in the chats and on the forums, and we could see our what we had said come to life in the next build of the beta. You know, they really listened to everybody, and it was really cool. You know, I mean, the developers, they were really laid back people. They would talk to us players like, you know, just like normal people, and they wouldn't hide behind these walls that so many developers do. And I don't know if those developers are even around anymore. I mean, I'm talking about, you know, 2 years ago. But it was pretty awesome, you know. It was really cool to get to know those developers. But just look at all these beautiful areas here. I mean, if I showed you every beautiful area in Lord of the Rings Online, this video would be 10 hours long, a days long. It would be endless because this whole game is beautiful. You know, so many people talk about Rift now. You know, I've been playing Rift and doing Rift videos, and they talk about like how beautiful Rift is. I really don't think it even can compare to Lord of the Rings Online. Lord of the Rings Online, they were one of the very first MMOs to implement DirectX 10. That was such a step forward. Age of Conan, they had advertised DirectX 10 on the box, and hell, I don't even know if they even got it into the game these days. People were really angry about that. But just everywhere in this game is just so amazing. I mean, just breathtaking scenery everywhere you go. The artists for this game, wow, they were amazing artists, and they captured the Lord of the Rings spirit, and they captured the books. I mean, better than I could have even really imagined. When I first started playing this game, I was so blown away by just how good of a job they did on everything. You can just tell the amount of love and care that was put into just every little small detail of this game. And when you go through this game and when you explore, you just see these little Easter eggs and things developers have put in the game. And one nice thing is when you are higher level, you can explore around and not get attacked by mobs. You can ride right over gray mobs. So that is, I've always loved that feature as well. So many MMOs, they still let way low-level mobs attack you, and that's kind of, what reason? It hampers exploration. It's just kind of a pain. And as you see, there's just, there's people everywhere now. And when I used to play, it wasn't like this. You'd run across people here and there, and here in Rivendell, oh man, talk about beautiful. This has always been one of the most beautiful areas, and the attention to detail put in here. And there are 3 starting zones also for Lord of the Rings Online. There's the Dwarven area, there's the Elves. Oh, actually there's 4, I guess. The Hobbit, and the Human. So a couple of those share a zone. So like the Dwarves and the Elves, they share a zone. It's been a while since I've played this game. Well, especially from level 1. I'm level 60, as you see, and the cap now is 65, and I never got back to this game to grind out those last 5 levels. And here we are in the Misty Mountains, another just gorgeous, breathtaking area. And one thing I haven't even mentioned is the soundtrack. This game has just the most amazing soundtrack. I used to just sit here in the Misty Mountains and turn up my volume and just jam out to that large orchestra music and everything like that. Yeah, I'd get nerdy with it. And oh god, I don't know. So much to love about this game, really. So much to love. And I just wish I had more time to invest in it, making videos and trying to cover multiple MMOs, and it takes a lot of time. Lord of the Rings Online is also gigantic. I mean, there's many zones and many places to go. And like I said earlier, if I showed you every beautiful place and every zone, it would just take a lifetime. It would take forever. And they always have these festivals all the time, and just happened they're having their anniversary festival going on right now. And this field right here, you can play chicken ball with your buddies. That's a pretty fun little game. You just kick this little chicken around, and they also have the horse races. In the old days, used to race against each other, but now it just seems like you just go through the obstacle course and you gain your token. It might just be just for this event, though, so don't quote me on that, but in the old days, you used to compete against each other and race against each other, so yeah, it's pretty nice that they have these little social areas. This is in Bree right here, and there's also another one near Hobbiton over there by the Party Tree. That's what it's called. And there's just so many cool things to do in this game, and the developers always push out events all the time. There's the annual events, and they'll sometimes have little special things, and they even like celebrate like Pirate Day. Like on Pirate Day, you can loot these chests all over the game and get pirate hats, and they like to have fun. That's one thing about the developers in this game is they like to have fun, and they have a lot of fun items in this game. You can also play music, believe it or not. You can full-fledged play music in this game. I mean, if you know how to play music, like all the chords and everything, you can play with your keyboard. I'm not even joking. You can play a harp, a lute, and a drum. There's about 4 instruments, and there's also like pre-made songs. And what you do is you put them like in the right folder, and you can play those songs. So that's pretty awesome, I mean, the real social aspects, they added all those to these games. I mean, you can smoke, you can drink, you can do quite a bit in this game. There's 100 emotes. There's so many, you earn emotes also as you do like deeds and different things. But here, just look at the scenery, here in the Northern Downs. It's just like the books. I know the books didn't have any pictures, but the artist renditions that you'd always seen of Lord of the Rings, they did such a magnificent job. Magnificent job. It's a hard word to say. They just caught everything. And this was also one of my favorite little regions over here, Northern Downs. And since I've been gone, I've noticed they've added all these new things as well, like these skirmishes. I'm not even sure what the heck those are. I believe it might be kind of like a arena match, but I don't want to quote on anything because I really don't know what they are. And I have noticed that they added a looking for dungeon tool. Yeah, they have a dungeon finder now. They didn't have that back in my days. Nope. Here we are in Hobbiton. I had to show you Hobbiton. What would Lord of the Rings be without a little drive through the Shire, eh? And here's where the other party event happens as well. And people, they come over here, then they go over to Bree, and vice versa. And there's different quests in each of the event areas. And you notice I have a few little graphical things. That's because of Fraps. It's not because of Lord of the Rings Online. When I'm not running Fraps, I pull 80 frames per second in this game, which is pretty amazing considering the graphics level. I don't really pull that many frames per second in any other game, I guess, except for like WoW, really. And the graphics quality is much lower than Lord of the Rings Online. And I mentioned earlier just how vast this game is. It is huge. It really is a gigantic game. You would be very, very surprised how much land mass Lord of the Rings Online has. And if they continue with their plan, to go all the way to Mordor, like in the books, then wow, this place is just it's gonna be the biggest MMO there ever was built. I don't know what they're gonna do these days. Now that it's free to play, I wonder if they're gonna go ahead and continue with their plans for Mordor and finishing out the story. I know that the developers, if they're not allowed to do that, the ones that started on this game, they're just gonna be heartbroken because that was their dream to eventually get to Mordor and have Lord of the Rings complete. And if like when I first started playing, you would follow the Fellowship, Frodo and everybody. You would follow Gandalf, and you would follow their storyline. And like when they went through Rivendell, they added like the cutscene of them leaving and all that. And it was really cool, to play the game as they were adding these things to the game. It really felt like you were living out the story at the time. It's hard to believe, but 20 minutes have already passed, and I haven't even talked about the crafting or the legendary items or the dungeons, or there's so many things in this game that I haven't even talked about, and they're awesome. They're really awesome. The dungeons, oh man, I used to really love the dungeons in this game, especially the original ones from Shadows of Angmar. Oh man, you really felt like you were living that experience because there's the voice acting and there's so much to them, and the crafting. I haven't mentioned that either. The crafting is amazing as well, and you would just love it. I mean, it's the best crafting system of any MMO I've played, really. I mean, it's, the same formula. You get the mats for the item to make the item. But, there's a lot of extras to Lord of the Rings Online's crafting system. You have a small percentage to critical on a crafting, like a piece of armor, and it will become an epic item. So that was always awesome. You're there crafting and crafting and crafting, then boom, you get your epic item there. And I always liked that. And you could sell it for a pretty penny and make some decent money, even with the crafting. A lot of MMOs blow the crafting because a lot of people, they go to the dungeons and get better items, and so there's no market for your selling your items, and it's just a lost cause. But Lord of the Rings, they did a pretty good job where you can actually make a little money off your crafting, even cooking, believe it or not. Now, I've been waiting all video to say this. Moria. Mines of Moria. Yeah. I have a lot of memories from this because I did the beta for this, and I spent a lot of time in Mines of Moria. I mean, and despite the beta, I played it up to level 60. And it was kind of my stopping point, really. And a lot of people were upset about Mines of Moria. As you see, I'm out in this vast expanse of E-region here, and you would go from here into Mines of Moria, which was like a cave and halls, and it was very dark, and it was just kind of a downer, to be in the dark that long. And a lot of people quit because they were in a cave for too long, believe it or not. But they seem to have improved it quite a bit, and it seems like you can kind of advance a little bit faster now through those areas. I know the Dungeon Finder would have been a godsend back then. But you can see just how vast this one area of E-region is. It's huge. It's huge. And, you get exploration deeds, and there's many deeds, which are the achievements in Lord of the Rings Online. And they're pretty fun if you're into those sorts of things. There's a ton of them. So, yeah, if you're an achievement hoe, you're going to like these. There's so many achievements that it will take you years to probably finish them all. And I did quite a few of them myself, and they were a lot of fun, especially the exploration ones. At least when you did get out of Moria, you were treated to Lothlorien and this so gorgeous area. This beautiful land of the elves, from the books. It was just so gorgeous. And I was always taken aback by this place, just how nice a job they did. And they did this, much later on, and, they still held true to their design and keeping a high quality to it. And they did a wonderful job with this as well. And I'm curious to find out how far they're going to take this game, if they're going to go ahead and take it to Mordor. I imagine that they would have to, if they're going to continue to keep it online. I guess it just all depends how this free-to-play plays out for them. So as I venture into Mirkwood, I'm very happy to find out that Lord of the Rings is doing quite well after all these years. 4 years. Congratulations, Lord of the Rings. I've always loved you. You've always been a wonderful, beautiful game that just didn't get popular because of lack of advertising. And maybe now that you're free to play, and I do notice that there's more ads now, then maybe a larger audience will come and check out this wonderful, wonderful game. And this is Dark Hostess for the Gamer Down. Hope you've enjoyed this little ride through Lord of the Rings.